Good evening, everyone, and thank you for attending the Urban League of Portland's forum for Multnomah County Chair. My name is Lamar Wise, and I'll be tonight's moderator. Before we get started, I wanted to first thank our community partners, Central City Concern, Impact Northwest, Northwest Pilot Project, Muslim Educational Trust, and Transition Projects in co-hosting tonight's forum, as well as several others that will be happening this month. Without their efforts and support, tonight's event would not have even been possible. I also want to highlight the importance of voting. Voting is not a every 4-year event. Every year, there are local elections, and they're just as important as our presidential and federal elections. The deadline to register to vote is October 18th. Democracy only works when people vote, so get registered if you aren't already, and of course, remember to vote. Tonight, we will feature 2 candidates running for Multnomah County Chair, Commissioner Sharon Myron and Commissioner Jessica Vega-Peterson. These candidates are here to highlight their campaign proposals and answer community questions as potential future Multnomah County Chair. Although we hope tonight's forum will be exciting and informative for you all, we also want it to be an orderly one. Here are a few ground rules for the candidates. So number 1, please remain muted if you are not answering a question. This is important for audio issues as well as video focus. Please don't forget this. Number 2, each candidate will have 3 minutes for their opening statement. We will ask you to deliver your opening statements in alphabetical order. Commissioner Sharon Myron and Commissioner Jessica Vega-Peterson. And then number 3, when questions are asked, each candidate will have 3 minutes to respond with no rebuttals. There will be between 6 to 8 questions tonight. The broad topics are areas for questions will follow under climate change, culture, health, economics, housing, and other current concerns. Number 4, after questions are complete, each candidate will have 3 minutes to deliver a closing statement. We will ask you to deliver your closing statements in alphabetical order again as well. Please be courteous and cautious of your time and of your fellow candidates as well. Throughout the forum, when speaking, if you are within 30 seconds of your allotted time, our staff will send a notification. And if you are over time, we will send a chat to let you all know that your time is up. Is that clear for everyone? And are we good to get started? All right. In that case, we will begin with opening statements. So we'll start with Commissioner Myron.
Wow. Thank you so much, Lamar, and thank you to the Urban League for hosting this forum and for all the partners for being here and co-hosting. I've worked closely with you over the years, and it is just great to have this opportunity. I'm Sharon Myron. I am running for Multnomah County Chair, and it's because the work of the county is my life's work and passion. And it is that experience I have had over decades that has prepared me to lead. I am an ER doctor. I'm a public health advocate and activist. I'm a mental health and addiction specialist, and I am a provider of homeless street medicine. This is what the county does. We oversee health and human services as the local public health authority, as the mental health authority, as the board of health, as the director of the largest network of community clinics in the state. This is the majority of our budget, and the chair is the CEO who writes that. Last year was $3.3 billion budget. The chair sets the direction for the county, and I believe that we're going in the wrong direction, and it's because I see it on the front line. We see thousands more people who are living in squalor on our streets and who are dying on our streets. We see drug addiction and overdoses at an all-time high. We see gun violence and murder rates escalating, and it feels out of control. These are, in my view, public health crises, and they're literally killing us. As an ER doctor, I lead teams to triage emergencies. We stop bleeding, we resuscitate, and we put people on the road to recovery. That's what we need to be doing at the county, and that's the leadership that I will bring as Multnomah County's next chair. I want to emphasize the team part here because it's really important, and it is a crucial part of my role as an ER doctor. As chair, I will work with all my fellow commissioners as a team and leverage their experience and expertise to address the issues facing our community. I will work as a team with the experts that I would consult, our partners, community-based organizations, who are the ones who represent the people most impacted by our policies. I really look forward to getting into the details of how I will address what I consider the major issues facing our county, which are homelessness, mental health and addictions, and public safety. And I look forward to really sharing with you and discussing with you how, if you want change and if you want accountability and action, I am the choice for chair. I'm Sharon Myron. I would be honored to have your support and your vote, and I look forward to talking more. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next up, we have Commissioner Vega Peterson. You have 3 minutes and your time starts now.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. First of all, thanks to the Urban League and all the organizations who are making tonight possible. And thanks for your time, Lamar. There's also Stephanie behind the scenes at Urban League who did so much to get us here tonight. So it's great to be here. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and about why I'm running for chair. My family and I have lived in East Portland for the past 17 years. We have been in the same house on the same block in a rapidly changing community. East Portlanders are the frontline workers who kept us afloat during COVID. We have experienced some of the highest level of gun violence and traffic fatalities in the county. And we do this while we live in a part of the city that's ignored and underinvested. I ran my first campaign because of these inequities on the lack of sidewalks and opportunities for my community. And people came together to support me, and together we were able to get sidewalks and a whole lot more for the people of East Portland. I have the experience, the record of accomplishment, and the vision to meet this moment and to lead Multnomah County in the right direction. I bring people to get things done. And that is why I have the broadest and deepest coalition of organization and community leaders in this race who know I am the best person to lead Multnomah County forward. My track record as an elected official is hallmarked by my success in breaking new ground since my first day in office. As Oregon's first Latina representative, I passed the Coal to Clean bill, a first in the nation law to transition us off of coal-fired power. And at the county, I started the practice of bringing business leaders and community members and schools together to engage deeply, successfully site shelters in neighborhoods. And I led the work on Preschool for All, which has set a national standard for universal quality preschool. Right now, we're at an inflection point, from our houselessness crisis to combating climate change to increasing community safety and addressing systemic racism. We need a county chair who is a proven collaborative leader. As chair, the housing crisis, the homelessness crisis, and behavioral health crisis that goes with us will be my #1 priorities. I will bring regional leaders together with a comprehensive approach that leverages the resources we have, thanks to the Supportive Housing Services measure, to invest in shelters and alternative shelters, to invest in permanent supportive housing, and to urgently respond to the trash, health, and safety challenges facing us immediately, with so many people sleeping outside each night in Multnomah County. And as chair, I'll prioritize the underlying issue that drove so many of the other issues that we're facing: the huge and growing economic divide between those who have so much in our county and those who are struggling to get by. Too many neighborhoods are seeing housing prices skyrocket and rent increases up to 30%, forcing people to move further away from their jobs, displacing children from schools, and increasing transportation costs at a time when gas prices are rising. The race for Multnomah County Chair is one of the most critical on the ballot this November. We need a leader who is able to step into the job running the third largest government in the state on day one and tackle the work in front of us. That is exactly who I am, and that's why I'm asking for your vote this November.
Thank you, Commissioner Vega-Peterson. Now we will begin the question portion of our forum. The first question will start with Commissioner Vega-Peterson. So the first question is, we know that the pandemic has disproportionately affected people of color as it relates to our health outcomes. How would you, as Multnomah County Chair, ensure that our county health improvement plan is adapted to reflect this reality and the needs of our communities?
Great. Well, no, that's a good question. I mean, and I mentioned this a little bit in my opening statement, but the zip code I lived in East Portland, we had some of the highest rates of COVID cases and deaths in the state at weeks during COVID. And part of it was because we do have frontline workers. Part of it is because we have nursing homes where seniors are living. But a large part of it is also because we have a very diverse population made up of BIPOC community members and immigrant and refugee populations. And for, especially at the beginning of COVID, we weren't having resources directed where they were desperately needed. And we weren't having enough information about COVID and what people need to do and how they could protect themselves and where they could go to access services in language and in situations where people could access them. I fought very hard to get those resources here in East Portland and to the communities that need them countywide. I did that by advocating for both testing and COVID vaccination sites here out in East Portland. I joined with community leaders who were actually calling on the governor, calling the governor out for the lack of resources and the dismal vaccination rates for the Latinx community. And we were able to get more resources from the state. And now we have an 80% vaccination rate of the Latinx population in the state. We're finally at parity. So that kind of determined focus, that kind of courage to go ahead and speak up and ask for what's needed for our communities is what I will bring as Multnomah County Chair. We need to continue investing in the resources and funding organizations that are doing this work at the community level and doing it in a way that is both culturally specific and, when necessary, language specific. So people are getting information they need from trusted people in the community. We have a long record of doing good work at the county through our REACH program, which is really about looking at some of the areas where we have the highest disparities of health issues in our community, especially with the Black community. And we do that with infant mortality rates, with the Healthy Birth Initiative program that I've been so happy to support. I will continue to support those things, as well as things like community health workers, people from the community who are there as a resource and a way to connect people to some of the county services as well. So I think increasing both the support of those really frontline and grassroots organizations, as well as increase in the community health workers. And then I think we need to continue to make sure that we are listening to community and having, I always say that the way that I make policy is by having a large table, including those people most impacted by policy. So we continue to have to do that good work, both with our official community-based health clinics, as well as the larger public and mental health work that we're doing. And those are the things that I will do as chair, because I'm getting the note that my time is up. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Meyer.
Can you just restate the question?
Yes,
Sorry
I
about
would
that.
be happy to. Not a problem. We know that the pandemic has disproportionately affected people of color as it relates to our health outcomes. How would you, as Multnomah County Chair, ensure that our county health improvement plan is adapted to reflect this reality and the needs of our community?
Thank you so much for that question. That's something that has been very central to the work that I've been doing over the past, however long it's been since COVID now, 2.5 years, almost 3. And when I started when the pandemic started, one of the first things that I did was reach out to community-based organizations, culturally specific community-based organizations, to find out what they needed, what were the things that they were hearing from their communities, so I could convey this to our public health folks, to our emergency management folks, so I could assist getting out PPE, getting out, we haven't even heard the word PPE for so long, but getting that stuff out to people and organizations so we could support health safety practices, get information out to people in a variety of languages so that people knew what was available, and then getting services out to people and the policies that would support all of our communities. It's interesting because from the get-go, I was pushing for policies that actually took action based on what I was hearing from community. And it was hard to get response from the county sometimes. And I heard a lot, things were tough, but I heard a lot from leaders in a number of our community-based organizations that they were not getting what they needed from the county. And so I directly contacted our public health folks, emergency management, to say, we need N95 masks, we need masks of all kinds, we need supportive services to facilitate the work that our community-based organizations are doing for the communities that they serve. I also I take action. One of the things that I did was in realizing that vaccinations were not getting to people who were often most vulnerable, some of our homebound seniors who were, as I noted when I did this work, predominantly in communities of color, immigrants, that I said, we need to be going out to meet people where they're at, not waiting for them to come to some big center. And I pushed to get a volunteer program of medical providers to go out and mobilize, to go out to community. And I volunteered personally as a healthcare provider to go out and offer the vaccinations, meeting people where they were at. And this was incredible, both in terms of the responsiveness to what people have described as their needs and changing individual people's lives. They were so grateful when we showed up the door with our cooler, with our vaccines, and we're able to get that done. And so those are the kinds of things that I bring to community. And I was concerned when I would see the healthcare disparities that exist in our communities of color are longstanding and profound. And I've seen this as a healthcare provider, and I see this as a county commissioner. And when I was seeing those disparities, I spoke up to say, we need to be doing things differently. We need to be reaching communities we haven't even reached. So for example, the Somali Association of the Somali American Association of Oregon reached out to me. I met with their imams and elders and community to say, what is it you're not getting, and arrange to get services for those in need. So I reach out. Sorry, I didn't see the, okay.
Yeah, no worries.
I connect, I take action by hearing from those who are impacted.
Thank you, Commissioner Meyer. Okay, on to the next question. Question number 2, it's economics based, which is a 2021 Washington Post poll shows that 25% of women and 27% of BIPOC respondents reported that they are financially worse off since the pandemic. What types of programs and resources do you envision the county implementing to help women and the BIPOC community members regain stability caused by the pandemic? And we will actually start with Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you. So this is something that we have needed to be doing before COVID, but with COVID, this has been, as with so many things, the disparities and needs have been exacerbated and have been highlighted. And so we need to support our communities with workforce development programs. We need to provide the skills that people need to participate in the economy. We need to provide the connections for people to get involved and see what is needed, prepare the kinds of, whether it's the resume or the background, to connect with the kinds of jobs that are out there so that they can actually take advantage of those jobs. I have been connected to the Native American Chamber of Commerce, Black Chamber of Commerce, so many small business owners and particularly small business owners of color who have talked to me about what their needs have been during the pandemic and the challenges that they have been facing. It's so much about connecting the dots, which is what you can do as in the role of chair. And so I would both host a council of our culturally specific chambers of commerce, working with the business the micro economy and the businesses that are supporting that, and making connections by creating also the spaces for people, women, people of color, the people most impacted by the pandemic, to tell me directly as chair what their issues have been, and then connect the dots. I'm a dot connector, and that's where I see one of the biggest challenges facing our community. So we need a number of levels. We also need to invest in childcare and universal childcare in particular, along with preschool, so that women, but particularly, but others who are doing that work and serving their families have places that are safe for their kids to go and that can provide enrichment and support. So there's a continuum. We as the county need to be taking that into account and directing our services to what people are telling us that they need.
All right, thank you so much for that. Up next, we have Commissioner Vega Peterson. And do you need me to repeat the question?
Yeah, if you would, that would be great.
Yeah, not a problem. A 2021 Washington Post poll shows that 25% of women and 27% of BIPOC respondents reported that they are financially worse off since the pandemic. What types of programs and resources do you envision the county implementing to help women and the BIPOC community members regain stability caused by the pandemic?
That is a great question. All right, thank you so much. So for rereading that. Yeah, so I mean, I touched on this a bit in my opening statement when I talked about one of the main priorities that I'll have as chair is to really fundamentally look at the growing economic divide between those who have so much in our county and those who are struggling to get by. We know that the impact of the pandemic was an extreme case of the haves and the have-nots, right? We had so many people who were able to stay, work from home, keep their jobs, really, be insulated from some of the impacts that we were seeing on COVID, where we had a whole other large part of the economy of the community who were either losing their jobs because the industries that they worked in were shutting down, or who had to continue to go to work every day as frontline workers. And that had impacts on people's pocketbooks. It had tolls on people's emotional health, mental health, and we're still seeing those impacts to these days. So the statistics that you shared aren't surprising to me at all. Multnomah County and the role of the county chair really is one of making sure that we are providing important safety net services, whether that's in healthcare, whether that's for seniors, for people with developmental delays and disabilities, whether that is in our public safety system. But all of those services, the safety net that we're providing, it's not enough if we don't also give people a path to economic opportunity, economic prosperity. And that's an area where I don't think that the county has been working strongly enough in over the past several years. And that's something as chair that I will prioritize. I'll invest in programs that build economic opportunity for Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities, and also look to create wealth within our low-income neighborhoods in Multnomah County. I think it's important that we as the county partner with businesses and with unions to increase job opportunities for the people that we are serving. I've already had conversations with BIPOC business owners about ways that we can do this for populations, including our youth, including people who are transitioning out of our justice system. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. I have been a long supporter of policies that are really about increasing economic justice and economic opportunity for those, especially women, especially BIPOC communities. I was really proud to be the chief sponsor of the paid sick leave bill in the legislature that guaranteed paid sick leave, as well as fought to raise the minimum wage at the state level. So supporting childcare, which I always say, childcare is the profession that makes all other professions possible, is a huge priority. It's something that I think the county can be a huge ally to the work that's happening at the state and the national level to do this. I was just on a panel on Friday with Congresswoman Bonamici and others talking about that issue. We have to do better to address the systemic wealth divide in Multnomah County. And I am really, looking forward to continuing to work with both businesses and our service partners to do that.
Thank you. Okay, next question. In January, the Advisory Committee on Sustainability and Innovation proposed renaming the Sauvie Island Bridge that connects Sauvie Island to the mainland to celebrate the native inhabitants of Sauvie Island. Would you support renaming the bridge? If so, why do you believe this is important? And we will start with Commissioner Vega-Peterson.
Yes, thank you. I did read that report. I'm the board liaison to ACSI, which is the acronym of the organization that Lamar was just talking about, and I was really excited to see this as a recommendation. And we've already started looking at the steps that it would take to go through the renaming process. We've reached out to the chair's office about how we can do this, and that would be something that I would take up that work as county chair to move that forward. I think especially because today is Indigenous Peoples Day. It's a day when we recognize both the contribution, that Indigenous folks have given and still give to this country, but also the way that colonization has impacted so many Indigenous communities here and around the world. That we have to do a better job of reflecting and recognizing stories and contributions that have not been told, that in fact have been systemically repressed. And I think looking at how we name things is a huge part of that. I really appreciate the work that we've seen happening at the federal level with renaming things, mostly things that are either offensive or things that are paying tribute to people who have engaged in racism or slave ownership or some of those things. And I think we need to continue that. And I think, but I think a part of that work is also just recognizing that we need to do more to lift up the communities that have been here, the communities that are still here in a ways that that is more public, and that it makes a difference. It makes a difference what things are called. It makes a difference how we're naming things. And I think that renaming Sauvie Island is a great way that Multnomah County take a part in that.
Thank you. And Commissioner Myron, would you support renaming the bridge? If so, why do you believe this is important?
Yes. Thank you. And I do support the renaming, and I have been looking into this for a while, and it is absolutely appropriate to be bringing this up on Indigenous Peoples Day. And this is in my district, and so I've been very connected to that work for quite a while. And so I've been working and talking with community about processes and what it would take to rename the bridge for some time. I have been invested in that work that we do with our Indigenous Native American community, not just in the renaming of the bridge, but much more globally. In fact, right before this, I just came from the dedication of Barbie's Village, which is an incredible Native American transitional housing village, tiny home village for Native American people who are transitioning from substance use and with fetal alcohol syndrome disorder, and with their families. And it was such a beautiful ceremony and such a beautiful dedication. And the work that's there is names, the words we use are so important in all that we do. And the things that we can do to bring that full circle, bring the names back to mean something with the Native communities who were dispossessed of land and removed from land, I absolutely support. And so I'm actually very involved in this work.
Thank you. Okay, so our next question is a little bit long, so just heads up there. But here it goes. The Advisory Committee on Sustainability and Innovation reported that diesel pollution is one of the most challenging and insidious environmental justice issues in Multnomah County. Areas of the county with the highest concentrations of diesel exhaust have estimated cancer risks of 542 in 1 million, more than 500 times higher than the additional cancer risk associated with the state's benchmarks. Multnomah County's own data indicates that African Americans are 3 times more likely to be exposed to diesel particulate matter, and Latinos are 2.5 times more likely than white county residents. Our question is, current policy allows for the disproportionate concentration of diesel in Black and Brown communities. As chair, what policies would you enact to address this issue? And we will begin with Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you. That is, wow, that is such a deep and broad question. I would need to talk to the there are so many people doing incredible work, including at Apano, other community-based organizations doing climate justice work, to see what are those specific policies that we could implement at the county as chair. But what my approach would always be is, which is what it has been, engaging the people most impacted, and taking a public health approach to this, which this is a tremendous, like on its face, a vast, tremendous public health issue. And it is those public health disparities that I have mentioned are present throughout all of our systems, and in the work of sustainability that we do as the county most very prominently. And what sort of as an approach that I would take, in addition to that, the working together, and we are doing that with our climate justice action plan that is happening, is to say, okay, what can we do? How can we move? How can we push the envelope to the extent of our authority as the local public health authority, as the local board of health, to implement innovative solutions that maybe others haven't been able to do, to ensure that we are achieving climate justice, climate equity in our community as part of our role as the public health authority. I've actually talked a lot to our public health folks and to our Office of State Division of Sustainability to see how, what are the novel ways we can use that authority as the county, because historically, traditionally, our work has not been around climate. But when you approach climate justice, and when you approach this as public health and push the envelope, I think that there are so many options available to us. But I would look forward to those conversations.
Thank you. And then Commissioner Vega Peterson, just as a reminder, current policy allows for disproportionate concentration of diesel in Black and Brown communities. As chair, what policies would you enact to address this issue?
Yeah, so fighting for clean air and water for our communities, especially those communities that are most impacted, is something that I've been doing, I would say, my whole elected career, and that's true. But I've actually been doing it for a really long time. And there's things that I've done as a county commissioner that I would continue to push on and expand as county chair. I was really proud. I sit at a lot of different transportation tables, and I've always viewed that work as not just being about transportation issues, but really looking how racial injustice, economic injustice, climate injustice really comes to bear in our transportation decisions we make. I fought to get investments and to get a commitment from TriMet to actually transition their fleet off of diesel into 100% clean energy transportation and transit. And they're doing that. They're actually making the transition right now using renewable diesel. So the new FX division line is actually using renewable diesel. And they're going to be transitioning over the next couple decades, because diesel buses take a long time to get off the road, to 100% clean energy. Transportation is such a huge factor, especially when you consider how many Black and Brown communities are living right by major either highway systems or freeway systems, or major freight lines like Columbia Boulevard, and a lot what we see up in North Portland. So I think continuing to push on our partners, continuing to push for investments in those areas that are about creating healthier communities through walking, through transit, through biking, and making it safe for people to actually use those is something that I would do. And also use, I think one of the big parts of being a county chair is being able to use the political megaphone that you have to call attention to issues. There is a new distribution center that is being proposed in the Argay Terrace neighborhood that's really completely outsized for a residential neighborhood in outer East Portland. It's going to cause not just traffic issues and traffic safety issues, but also when you think of all those trucks going in and out of residential neighborhoods, it is a direct impact on the quality of life and the quality of the air of those people. And I'm happy to be one of the people who are raising my voices against something like that going into neighborhoods. And that's something I would continue to do. I think we, as county chair, continuing to push on the state for policies that we are where we are looking at and holding people accountable for the impacts of diesel for our communities. I was part of work that happened at the state level that was looking at, and this is something actually that the county did as well, looking at having a clean diesel for our county construction projects and making a commitment that we will be only contracting with folks that are doing clean diesel. And those are the type of programs as county chair that I would continue.
All right, thank you for that answer. Okay, we will head into question number 5, which will be our last question of the night. And so it starts as this. As of 2019, Portland and Multnomah County point in time count biannual report over 2,000 people were unhoused. Of that, over 38% identified as people of color. As chair, how will your houseless or homeless policy be centered on Black and Brown houseless neighbors who have experienced disproportionate rates of houselessness? and Commissioner Vega Peterson would start.
Yeah, thank you. So, so I think a lot of people will agree, and I know this is something where Commissioner Myron and I agree, that the point in time count is not an accurate representation of the number of people who are living unsheltered or homeless in our communities. It is a for people have to opt in to being a part of that, and we know a lot of people choose not to. So it's definitely an undercount. I'll also say that the point in time count uses a definition of homelessness from HUD, from the federal government, that doesn't reflect the way that a lot of Black and Brown people experience homelessness, whether that's couch surfing or staying in their cars for a while, or moving from place to place, or staying doubled up with family, which we see a lot of time with our Black and Brown communities, with our immigrant communities. And so, as county chair, the policies that we put in place, the type of programs, the type of investments that I want us to make through the Joint Office of Homeless Services using the Supportive Housing Services measure is really about making sure that we're addressing that true picture, the breadth of what and depth of the way that people are experiencing homelessness in our society, especially with Black and Brown people. So I think funding organizations that are doing this work with communities in ways that are trusted partners, or people who have that lived experience to be doing outreach, to be making the connections is a really important thing. So that kind of peer support and outreach, especially culturally specific peer support and outreach, is going to be, would be something that I would continue to invest in and grow as Multnomah County Chair. We also have to, be using the Supportive Housing Services measures dollars to get people into supportive housing that's going to be appropriate to them. That also means in culturally specific ways in parts of the county where people are already living, or where their communities are based. And so that would be a priority of mine as well. And I think we cannot discount, because we do know that there are so many people who aren't captured in the data that we have, but are one car accident, one high medical bill, right, away from experiencing homelessness. And we know that the risk of homelessness is highest for our most vulnerable communities, and that includes a lot of BIPOC community members. That the dollars that are going to rental assistance, to helping prevent people from becoming homeless in the first place, are also incredibly important resources. And so, we need to, and there's been a lot of calls to divert a lot of that money into shelter systems. There is definitely a place for shelters and alternative shelters, but we can't risk so many people who are living on the edge right now of going into homelessness by cutting off that rental assistance dollars.
Thank you, Commissioner. We will hear from Commissioner Myron next. Oh, I think you're muted.
Okay, there we go.
There you go.
We had to have one technical snafu during this event. So it's being so good. But I really appreciate that question, and absolutely, as I've been saying for a long time, the point in time count is so inaccurate a representation of how many people are actually living outside and who is living outside. And so, most recently it is at least doubled compared to the number that you provided. And the impacts, the disparities for people of color, particularly Black and Native American individuals who are experiencing houselessness and living outside, is extremely high. And I know there have been some dedicated efforts to reduce the disparity, and they haven't been effective. And so when I look at what we can do, what we need to do to both get people into places that are safer and healthier than living outside unsheltered on our streets, and focusing on those disparities and how we can reduce that that disproportionality, I think of what I have proposed and what is now being implemented successfully which is adding to our ecosystem of shelter a coordinated network of different types of shelter meeting different needs. These can be established quickly, they can be established more cheaply than what we're doing for shelter, and they can meet a spectrum of needs across the spectrum of community that we serve. And so to expand that system, to get people from where they are now, sort of on that road, the bridge, the first step, I guess, on the ladder to permanent housing, is one thing that I did was bring the city and county together to invest $3 million in developing community-driven alternative shelter models. So we have 3 that are being open right now, and so far they are showing success beyond expectations, and they have wait lists. So we have Beacon Village, we have We Shine Village, and what I was just attending today, which speaks particularly to this question, is Barbie's Village, which is a native transitional village for people who are coming from different places, and it is to be a place of healing for generational trauma that are being experienced by community members. And at that, it was profound in bringing together what people actually need and want and describe as their barriers, and meeting those needs, meeting people where they're at in community. We need to be replicating this stat, as we say in the ER, across our county. And I've worked with Laquita Lanford around the Afro Village, and there are so many opportunities available. As county chair, I would do this, and I would have been doing it as a commissioner, is supporting those efforts.
Thank you, Commissioner. And thank you both for your responses. We will actually now move towards closing statements, again in alphabetical order. So Commissioner Myron will deliver her closing statement, and again, you will both have 3 minutes. And Commissioner Myron, your time starts now.
So, wow, time just flies when you're having fun. And this really did go so fast. And I want to say thank you again for the opportunity to be here to share some of my perspective, the reasons that I'm running for county chair, and the experience that I would bring to that leadership role. It's, as I mentioned earlier, the work of Multnomah County is truly my life's work and passion. My experience as a healthcare leader, as a leader in mental health and addictions issues at the state level and locally, have prepared me to lead in the core work of the county, which is largely a health human services agency. It's the place where all of the things that I have done come together, both in my decades-long careers, lawyer, doctor, all the stuff that I've been doing there, and as a commissioner, come together where we see the intersection of systems, where we can put together how criminal justice intersects with behavioral health, intersects with houselessness, intersects with structural racism, intersects with these disparities that we have seen for generations in our communities, and seeing how they play out. Where we are is not, it is not unpredictable based on where we've come from, but how we move forward, we can make a difference. And that's if we put it together and have someone with the experience, proven leadership, and skills to take on those issues and lead our team, lead our county commissioners, convene our community together to stop people from falling into homelessness, from living and dying on our streets, from getting the services that they need, mental health services, addiction services, put people on a better path. that is what I will do as chair. It is what I have done throughout my career, and I look forward to the opportunity to working in an ongoing way with this community that I so love and cherish and have worked so closely with to put us on a better path. Thank you again for all of your time tonight.
Thank you, Commissioner. Up next, we will hear from Commissioner Vega Peterson. And again, you have 3 minutes. Your time starts now.
Thank you. Thanks again, Lamar and Urban League and all of the organizations that are helping to make this tonight possible. It has been fun and it has gone by really quickly, but I do appreciate all the great questions and topics that we were able to cover tonight. And I think anybody who is tuning in here tonight, it's you're here because you care about the county, you care about the people here, and you care about its future. In the work that I do, I know people are hungry for strong and bold leadership. People are looking for a leader who understands all of the challenges that the county faces, who sees a path forward, and who can weave together a coalition to meet the moment and to create change that people are looking for. And that is why I'm running for county chair. It's what I've been doing right here in this community for the last 2 decades. I have also never done it alone. My leadership always starts with a broad table that includes the communities that are most impacted by the issues. Over these next 4 years, Multnomah County is going to need to meet its challenges using proven collaborative leadership. We're facing problems of the size and the complexity that require it. We're also facing right now a time and a place where we're hearing narratives from people who are saying our problems are so big that they can't be solved, or who are trying to present solutions through fear or vitriol or division. I understand the fear and the worry that people have, but I can promise those folks 2 things. One, I firmly believe that division has never solved a single problem, and it is certainly not going to solve the challenges that we have before this. Demonizing people who are struggling with houselessness are not going to get them off the streets, and harassing our community isn't going to make it safer. And I also will say that people underestimate our ability to come together and get work done. I don't. That is why I'm here. That is why I've been doing this work for the last 10 years, from championing policies that increase economic justice to addressing climate change to creating universal preschool. I have created systemic change at both the state and the local levels. I have never said that I can't get something done because I didn't have the right position. Instead, I have fought with tenacity to maximize the impact that I could have and get results for my community, for my district, for my county, and for my state. And as a Latina, as a mother, as an East Portland resident, I also have the life experience to lead with compassion by bringing more voices to the table. And I have the backing of a wide range of organizations and community leaders who support me, from Ask Me to the Portland Firefighters, Apano, Latino Network Action Fund, Oregon League of Conservation Voters, Imagine Black, East County Rising, Oregon Working Families Party, Pro-Choice Oregon, Sierra Club, AFL-CIO, and so many others. I received 42% of the votes in the primary election and have only increased the number of people supporting me and my commitment to leading Multnomah County transparently, cooperatively, and effectively. I would be so proud to have the support of the people watching tonight, and I ask for your vote this November to become the next Multnomah County Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Vega Peterson, for your closing statement. As the Urban League's Multnomah County Chair Candidate Forum comes to an end, I want to give a special thanks to our audience members who submitted questions and our partners at L&S Captioning and Open Signal who are airing this Urban League Forum. We thank the community partners who have supported this event as well. Thank you again to candidates Sharon Myron and Jessica Vega Peterson for participating today. Please continue to stay well on your campaign trail. I want to extend my appreciation to our co-hosts as well and community groups who have helped us uplift civic participation in the Black community. Audience, please remember that the Urban League is a nonprofit organization that relies upon donations to be able to serve the community. Learn more about our fantastic programs and powerful advocacy by visiting our website at ulpdx.org. If you're able, I invite your donation as well. Your support is an investment in our Black community, in our robust wraparound programming that empowers communities and changes lives. The Urban League is hosting more events such as a Circuit Court Judge for District 2 and 3. Candidate forums on October 13th. Urban League's canvassing days for the City of Portland Charter Reform on October 15th and 23rd, and our Small Business 101 virtual workshop on October 20th. Please visit our website, ulpdx.org/get-involved to sign up and learn more. On behalf of Urban League President Nikinge Harmon Johnson, the Board of Directors, and all of our members, I thank our audience for participating today. If you are not a member of the Urban League yet, I welcome you to join us well or renew your membership. Visit our website again, ulpdx.org to join the movement for justice and equality in Oregon. Also, if you need assistance in voting or registering to vote during the general election, staff at Urban League are ready to talk to you. Reach out via our website, social media, or call 503-280-2600 for assistance. We will share the link to the Oregon Secretary of State's voting and elections page on both platforms. Again, I'm Lamar Wise, and good night. Thank you.